an experienced entrepreneur and operational investor based in London. With the deep understanding of global finance gained through his economics degree at the University of San Francisco, Jay began his career as a tech venture builder with Rocket Internet in New York. He then shifted his focus to the Middle East and North Africa, managing media portfolios and founding startups tailored to the region. A sought-after advisor for high-growth brands and cutting-edge technology platforms, Jay has orchestrated multiple successful exits, including a notable IPO on the London Stock Exchange. In 2020, he founded 611 Capital Investments, concentrating on investments, incubation, and market scalability across the EU, the Middle East, and Asia. Currently, Jay is the founder and chief strategy officer of Playsout Technologies, where he is spearheading the commercial framework for seamlessly integrating mini games within super apps in the region. This episode is brought to you by Bitsy Ventures. Bitsy Ventures connects unique founders with investors ready to bring new ideas to life. If you are an aspiring entrepreneur looking to build a business, head to bitsyventures.com and submit an application to be matched with the right investor. Jay Osseiran, welcome to the LifeLab. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Shiv.
Very excited that you're here. I want to start off with, we've done a little bit of an intro so people know a little bit about you that are listening, but tell us about your childhood and the start of your career, because you've had a very varied background and lived in lots of different places.
Deep question to start.
Tell me about your childhood,
Who
please.
are you?
No.
Okay, I'll take you way back to where it all began. So I was born and raised in Saudi Arabia to Lebanese parents. I'm Lebanese originally.
In Jeddah or Riyadh?
Born in Riyadh, raised in Jeddah.
No way.
So it started off just kind of moving. From there, I've been on flights. And it was, I guess Saudi was such a different, environment back then.
In
the 80s and 90s, it was, very empty, but a fantastic childhood. I enjoyed it. And, a lot of what I do today kind of comes to that.
So you went to international school there?
Yeah, British school.
And you were living on a compound, I guess?
I was.
And so did that kind of open, I suppose you were exposed to a lot of diversity then, because there would have been a lot of different types of people living there and working there than if you were in that environment.
Yeah, you like back then, it's not like you live in Saudi Arabia, right? Like foreigners would obviously live in a compound, and my neighbors were all, fellow Arabs or Levant or Europeans, Americans, kind of everyone that was tapping into the growing, industries that were happening in the country at the time. A lot more different than today, where it's a lot more mixed with, obviously, like the nationals and stuff. So, however, I did get my fair share. Like, I do have a lot of childhood friends that are Saudi, and but I did go to an international school, so it was very interesting.
And you spoke Arabic.
I speak Arabic at home. Yeah, it's my first language.
That was your mother tongue.
My mother tongue. My mother tongue is 3 languages: English, Arabic, French. French I didn't catch so well. Sorry, Mom, but.
But you've got the gist of it.
Yeah. I've got an ear for it, let's say, not the tongue.
Okay. And so how did you go from Saudi? So you went to secondary school, your high school there, and then
No, so interesting story is at around, I think, age 12, I'd go back to Lebanon for every summer, and my family sent me to a boarding school, to a school for summer camp.
Oh, summer camp school. Okay.
And over summer, I loved it. It was really cool. It was beautiful in a mountain in Lebanon called Brumana. Just such a different landscape, and it was really cool. I had the best summer of my life, and my father had also gone to boarding school there when he was a kid. So it was like something that he was very tied to emotionally, and it was a big part of his history or his past. So when I came back home that summer, he we had a chat, and he was like, would you like to go? Like, it was the best part of his life to go to boarding school, and I think he developed so many important relationships to him, and I think he developed as a character or as a man
Wow.
through that experience. So we had a chat about it. He's like, would you like to go? And I, immediately jumped at the chance.
You wanted to go to boarding school?
Yeah, I thought it would be I didn't know what I was thinking, funny enough. I was just like, you know what?
Your dad thinks it's a cool
Why
idea.
not? Yeah. And so
Off you went.
off I went to
What age were you when you went to boarding school?
12.
God, that's young.
Yeah, it was young. It was young.
That's really young.
It is young. It is young. It wasn't like, I think it was just an adventure for me, right?
Yeah.
Like sometimes when you're a kid, you don't really think too much into it like you do when you're an adult. You're just like, okay, cool. I had a great time. It was an amazing summer. So in my head, I was like, maybe it'll be the
It's going to
same.
be like that. And did you get the shock of your life then when you went over and you're like, oh my God, I'm stuck here now?
Look, I think being a young man or kid leaving your house at such a young age, it's not very easy. It was quite difficult the first year because you're just an independent individual.
Yeah.
And you're kind of put in the scenario of, it's your responsibility to study, do everything.
And you're away from your parents.
You're
for
away
the
from your
first time.
parents.
It's such a trauma in a way, isn't it?
Not traumatic, emotionally difficult maybe. Because I think at home you get so much love and support. Whereas when you move into a building with 70 other guys and, girls, then it's a different, it's just a different environment. And a lot of it is, it takes time to develop new friendships, I think. So close ones, especially when you're, you're
so young. Yeah.
You're young. It's maybe easier, but when you kind of move into a place where like people know each other and stuff, you have to break in, right? And there was definitely a culture of, I guess you have to pick on the new guys, and there's a hazing aspect
okay.
to going into
Like
any
a rite
boarding
of
school, not just
passage.
ours.
I know. I actually have a boarding school experience myself, but I won't. I don't want to go into it in your podcast. But I didn't last very long. Put it like that. But I just remember vividly the phone boxes were like steamy from people crying on the phone to their parents, going, "I want to go home. I want to go home." But because
Not easy. Not for
easy.
everyone.
No,
not for
definitely.
everyone. And I think for myself, I guess I was one of the youngest to kind of move, but over time, I think it took like 6 months or so, and
then
kind
you
of broke
settled in.
in, and you make friends, and
you got into a routine.
you get into it. You kind of start. You get over the hump, really, right? All of these things are mental, physical challenges
Totally,
that you
yeah.
eventually kind of get
And that
over.
probably stood to you, didn't it? Like, I'm sure it was character forming, I suppose.
Massively.
Yeah.
Massively. I mean, boarding school in and of itself is such a transformational experience for anyone, specifically when it comes down to your mental, your mental grounding and being comfortable with yourself at the end of the day. Like there's no one there to kind of really give you a hand, and you really have to kind of develop on your own, which is, it was very fundamental to who I am today. But it was also, I think, as my father put it to me, it was the best experience that I went through to date. And 70, I'd say like most of the guys that I went to school with are till today my
you're close
closest family, brothers, sisters, and these are people that I lived with, and we kind of went through what we felt was prison, but when you look back, it was like a very amazing experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
They become your family, I suppose.
family,
You're from
and that's
12 to 18.
to today.
Yeah.
To today.
Your formative years, like with these kids.
Mm.
So then you were in boarding school in Lebanon till you were 18, I guess, 17, 18.
Yeah.
And then how you went to study in the States? How did you end up in the University of San Francisco?
Yeah. look, Lebanon's an amazing. I just like to highlight. It's such a amazing, beautiful, vibrant country. And at that time, I think it was like it was a great place to study. Like the schools there, the universal, the education system there is quite
Sophisticated.
very. And so you see a lot of GCC nationals. You see a lot of people from the region kind of going to Lebanon to study, which is maybe not much the case anymore due to geopolitics. But at that time, it was still very strong. Like your university system was strong, your school systems were very strong. But there was still kind of an instability in just the geopolitics there. So I don't know why, but similar to when I was 12, kind of, I've always been a person that has wanted to explore
Other.
things. Just, I'm an adventurer, I think, by nature. I love the unknown. I love to find new adventures to jump into, and I've always wanted to go to San Francisco or California was my, it was just a vision to me. It was like, I
And
want
you
to go there.
hadn't been there.
I hadn't been there. I had a friend who was at the University of San Francisco, and I gave him a call and I was like, "How is it?" He's like, "It's amazing, man. So many girls here." I was like, "I'm applying."
Going. That's it. You sold me.
So I'm like, "I'm in." I didn't even ask how but truly, less of that. It was just more of an adventure, right? And kind of like, it's so far away from where I am and where my family is that I thought, why not? So I applied, got accepted. And
that's amazing that you got
Yeah.
it. I mean, because it's not easy to get into that level of university, especially as a foreign student, right?
I mean, I have to give it to my teachers in
They
Brumana
did a
High
great
School.
job.
They taught me quite well. Again, look, the quality of the education system in Lebanon is
Was
very
really-
underrated.
Yeah.
We're extremely high level. And
Yeah.
as a matter of fact, when I went to the education system in the US, even if it was in Silicon Valley, I was a lot more advanced than a lot of the kids were.
Your age.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we have a very rigorous system. So I guess you see it today, and you see it today in the world in terms of Lebanese founders, CEOs,
sure.
industry leaders.
Yeah.
It's a very strong education system, and I think being someone that went to boarding school, I had a foundation that people in the US just didn't have. So, funny story, but maybe this is
No, go
whatever.
ahead.
Is being in a place like Lebanon, which is a bit less regulated in terms of, you can have a drink at 16, you can do all these, you can kind of experience life a lot earlier than the US. So going to freshman, I felt that I was a lot further along in terms of my personal development as the kids in my class.
Because you had experienced a lot of those things before.
I experienced life.
Yeah.
And in terms of going and living away from my family at home and
Freedom
being
and-
independent and understanding kind of like the balances of good and bad. I've been clubbing before. I've kind of, done some things in life, whereas I felt like my counterparts were just kind of getting into that. And that was a big advantage. It was a massive advantage.
In the sense that it gave you kind of a leg up in
Confidence.
In confidence,
right?
okay, yeah.
You're a lot more confident in your abilities, and I just felt like I was a bit further down the line.
and then so
It's
you
not a good. There's no good and
no
bad.
no there's
right?
no good or
It's
bad. I
just-
get it. Yeah, like
maybe it's an advantage when you're alone as well.
Yes,
Like
yeah,
being
yeah.
so far away from home, you do want to have the, I guess, the core, just the core discipline to be able to survive alone in so far away from home. And that was it was
so you
important.
you finished. You had a 4-year your undergraduate there, and then you went on to found Rocket Internet.
Yeah.
So tell us about that journey from graduating, or how you got into the kind of tech space.
Well, I've always been again, like I love tech, and I think as a kid I've just like had that um, interest in technology, computers, and things of that nature. I think in the 90s it was a lot different. We were all about downloading music and things like that, which we'd love, and like hacking things. And
Mm.
but I guess after college, I studied economics, blah blah blah. I was rushing to get a job, as every kid is today, right? You're like, I'll take whatever I can get. So I
Yeah.
actually started. My first job was a door-to-door sales
No way.
at AT&T, which no one knows, not even my friends.
Oh my God.
And that was 7 months of the hardest 7 months, the hardest job I've ever had.
But I bet you learned so much doing that job.
So what they do is you would go and try to consolidate people's home phone and internet.
Okay.
All right. But I'd say like you'd walk in the morning, you'd have a sales meeting, or they'd pump us up, and then they'd drop us in a random neighborhood
Oh my
in
God.
Northern California. Like we'd drive across the bridge, whatever, and
You had to do door-to-door sales.
and we'd have the lead sheet, right? So I'd know that Mrs. Jefferson lives in this
that
house. And I'd have from about noon till 6 to close deals.
And did you have like a quota of
Here-
deals that you were supposed to
no.
get?
So
Right.
here's the catch. You don't get paid unless you sell. It's all commission. So
And was the
in
commission
essence,
good? Like-
it's good commission.
So if you even got one sale, you
Great
could
commission.
survive.
Yeah, I think commission was like $150 for someone that for one sell.
Okay.
For someone that just came out of college, I'm like, hell yeah, well, it was good. But if you don't sell anything, you don't get anything. So yeah, I guess it was kind of also a environment where you get to choose the level of effort you want to put into the result that you're going to get.
Yeah.
If you want to, dick about and do nothing,
you're not gonna get
fair.
anything, yeah.
That's your result.
So did it teach you how to sell, which is like probably one of the most valuable things you can ever learn?
It taught me how to react to different situations. And I'd say probably one of my biggest skills is being a chameleon. So especially door-to-door sales is one of
because
the
it's just,
hardest
like,
things.
random people like opening the door.
You don't know who is on the other side of the door. And sales is easy. Like, we're really not selling something so complex. It's not something new. It's more like, I know you're with AT&T. Let me help you consolidate, and I'm going to lower your cost. So the sell isn't that
hard.
difficult.
It's not a hard sell. Yeah.
Yeah. The difficulty is matching the person's energy on the other side.
Right.
So sometimes you'd get like someone that, well, when someone knocks on your door randomly, it's 90% of the time you're not answering with a hey, smile on your
you're
face.
like, what do you want? Yeah.
Yeah,
like, or who are you?
you're always on the offensive. So we had guns in our faces, like, get off my porch.
No.
To drunk college kids opening up and being like, hey, come in, have a beer. To just like older couples that have no idea what their
what their AT&T package is.
so
yeah.
nothing. Yeah, so it really, the skill is just understanding how to match a person within seconds, make them comfortable or trust, or develop a trust.
Like a bond, a little bit of a
within 5 seconds.
Within 5 seconds, yeah.
And then proceed to explain to them why you're there.
That's a pretty valuable skill.
Yeah.
But
Another challenge is that rain, sun, or shine,
you had to do it.
you're on the street for 6 hours, even if it's raining, and you've got to figure it out. So we would there's so many tips and tricks, or I guess tactics that we used, and sometimes we'd combine, we'd pair up, or you're alone or whatever. But I had a very good friend of mine who sometimes on the hardest days, because it's also emotional, like your emotion.
Draining.
Yes.
Yeah.
Listen, nothing. I think in terms of like strength of character, nothing knocks you down like a hard no in anything. And I think kind of developing a mechanism to be able to overcome a no is probably one of the biggest lessons I've learned.
I think you're so right. I couldn't
Right.
agree with you more about that. Yeah.
And so like picture like you just got there, still 12, you've got 6 hours to go. The first door you go to is like, get the hell off my thing.
Yeah.
That emotionally, like you're like, that puts you down.
Oh,
like
yeah.
the energy puts you down. And you need to be able to reset fast enough to go to the next door and not be not have the
Yeah.
negative knock. You need to again like completely readjust,
Recalibrate.
and go to that next to their neighbor,
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing.
and try to go get it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a very good skill to have.
Oh, I think it's priceless.
Yeah.
Because if you can take knocks like that and then it doesn't affect you, you keep going.
For sure.
It's huge in
sure.
your career after. So you did that for 7 months. Very cool.
So I did that for 7 months. It was the toughest 7 months. And then I guess during that time, I was obviously like, trying to find a career path. But, yeah, I guess at that age, you don't know what you want to
just
do.
figuring
Like
it
you're
out.
just kind of like, okay, cool. I have this degree. What am I doing? What do I want to do? And I was lucky enough to have a good friend of mine who was working at Rocket at the time, who referred me. And Rocket was at that time expanding into the US. They hadn't gotten to the US yet. Massive success story in Europe and Germany. And I was so lucky, honestly. Sometimes luck plays a big hand. And I was just so lucky to get on a call, used my sales skills to like, just immediately get likability, connect on the phone. And I was hired as the first employee in Rocket in San Francisco. So I was a junior at the time and essentially helped them kind of open up office, help recruit the kind of like the first core team. And then just kind of like got into their first product, which was a luxury box delivery service. So I don't know if you remember this, but around 2010-ish, 11, 12, that was like a very big boom in the tech industry. There's a massive boom within tech as well, kind of more web-based tech. And there was a lot of subscription model businesses going around. So we were one of the first. And what we would do...
A luxury box.
Yeah. So what we would do is we would sell subscription of luxury items like perfumes, face creams...
beauty products.
Put all of the beauty products, I would say, are free samplers.
Okay.
That we would put in a box and then sell that beautiful box with the ribbon as a subscription to users that are looking to try new products.
Okay.
So like Siobhan would be like, okay, look, I don't know what I'm gonna get. I'm interested to try new things like face masks or whatever.
Yeah, I think there was one called Birchbox
Exactly.
Yeah.
Birchbox was a competitor.
Yeah.
We were called Glossybox, which was
Glossy
like
box.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But it was Rocket Internet that was doing
Yes,
these. So
yes.
that was one of the products
Yes.
they were selling.
Yes.
Okay.
And that was kind of the first product that I was in and developed out. We decided to move the office to New York. I had another crazy story in which I come to the office one day.
In New York.
In San Francisco. And my boss was like, listen, we decided to move to New York because of the time differences with Germany, and you're losing like half the day because of San Francisco's timing. And, we'd love to have you, but we understand if you can't move. I was like, yeah, obviously I need to think about it. When? She's like, next Monday. I was like,
okay.
I was like, what? So, I mean, basically what she was telling me is like, you're either off next Monday or like, feel free to come. Your job is in New York. So I left the office that day. I had a massive, like, just walk around the city. And I was like, what do I do? Again, kind of put into this situation where adventure, something new, something exciting, cut all ties with my roommates, my friends, my life for the last 6
Everything.
years, and decided to move to New York within a week. Packed everything, got out, and just moved to New York.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What age were you then? About, like, roughly?
Where
Like
was
in your
I?
20s?
22, 23.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. So
Where was I?
you went to New York.
Yeah, we moved to New York. I didn't even know where I was staying. I like found it wasn't there wasn't even Airbnb at the time.
It
If you
was like
think.
a hostel or something, or like
Yeah,
a little
it was Craigslist, man.
Craigslist. Scary.
I Craigslisted it.
That
Yes.
is pretty epic.
Until I found my first apartment and the whole thing. Anyway, look, I think like that time in Rocket was interesting. It was great. It was just I wouldn't say it was a big like impact in terms of tech.
No.
It was more of an impact in terms of building core.
And learning, I
Yes.
guess. And like, I mean, at this time, so obviously now, like when we're looking back, you're this, very well-known entrepreneur. You've started a lot of, IPO'd companies. You're involved in lots of different startups. Like, was this formative, like this time? Do you feel like all of these, especially like moving from San Francisco to New York, like at the time, did you have an idea then, I'm going to be an entrepreneur and I'm going to do my own thing? Or were you still just like figuring it out?
I don't think you decide to become an entrepreneur.
But did you think did you know I'm going to be in the tech space? I mean, you founded, we'll talk about Playsout, but also Capital 611. I mean, were these things kind of in your head at all at that point, or?
No, I think I've always like known where my interests are, and
yeah.
the younger that you are is like it's super interesting. The younger you are, maybe the more like wider your scope of interest is.
Mm-hmm.
It's only over time that you start to kind of
Hone it
narrow
in.
down what you're good at and what really interests you, right? So like you'd say, okay, I'm interested in tech. Well, tech is really big. That's a massive space.
Yeah.
And the only way to understand which areas of tech you like are to talk to people, are to fail in specific
Work in lots of different...
situations, and to really throw yourself into situations. And I think you could, this story from, I guess, my childhood is that I've always thrown myself
into
at random, unknown mystery opportunities that have either resulted in failure or a lesson.
Or success.
Or success,
Yeah.
but which is a lesson.
A lesson, yeah.
Which is a lesson. But I wouldn't say like I never had a thing. I just I've always had a directional vision. And I was saying this to someone the other day. It's like I guess you have a kind of a picture, right? Which is a direction that you're trying to go. And I guess even if it's blurry, it's good.
You're going somewhere.
Because,
yeah.
The daily decisions that you make are still kind of subconsciously moving towards that picture. Now, over time, I guess a skill is to start defining aspects of that picture or that direction. And in my case, you just kind of like hone down on the things that you like.
And how did the move to New York start honing it down, like for you? So you started...
Well, like, in New York, I just started. The thing is that obviously I was in an amazing environment with people that I was learning from. But New York is a crazy city full of entrepreneurs, Wall Street bankers, money, everything. I mean, at that time, I think Amazon announced that it was delivering books by drone. So I was really into this stuff. I was always just like research. I've been reading tech and researching the financial space of things for a very long time. I love it. It's been a passion of mine.
And
like
you had
startups
a degree in
and
economics.
yeah. But a lot of it is also reaching out to people, like being so random in terms of talking to people, business owners, random people. I used to just find my way into conversation. I still do that today. But just find my way to have a coffee with somebody to understand more.
Okay.
and that's what starts defining, because you start realizing, okay, yes, I want this, I don't want this, and the picture becomes a bit more clear.
And then, so you were doing the same thing with Rocket Internet in New York. They moved your
Yeah.
job. Then what happened?
Well, look, eventually, funny enough, is I was reflecting, and I was thinking to myself, like, New York's a very fast-paced environment. It was very difficult for a young guy like myself, I thought, or I was a bit intimidated, maybe,
Okay.
um, to, I guess, maybe grow as fast. I thought to myself, the I guess New York as a market was super fast moving, and I didn't see myself growing as
There.
fast as I wanted to.
Okay.
Yes, there are more opportunities, but there's also a lot more competition.
Okay.
And so I obviously looked back and I said, you know what, I have big advantages here. I'm, Arab speaking. I come from the Middle East, and I saw Dubai as an opportunity in terms of the UAE, the region. Forget Dubai, but the
Yeah.
region was still quite ripe. It was still emerging. It was still, I mean,
A lot of opportunity
it was
happening.
empty.
Yeah.
Dubai was empty compared to what it looks like now. It was still kind of developing. The tech scene was developing, and I decided to move back to this region.
Okay.
So I moved to Dubai and started working at Omnicom. So I moved into the media space.
Okay.
I moved into the media space essentially because I guess media wasn't mature here. So in terms of the Googles, the Amazons, they weren't really established here yet. And within like the media advertising scene, we're still looking at very traditional means of promotion, like
Yes.
outdoor and radio
Yeah.
and things of that nature. So I jumped into that, which was another amazing experience because I had found some, great mentors in the space that were also able to guide me in my mid 20s, which are very formative years within your career. I always say this to I love to mentor people. I love people, especially young entrepreneurs. Something, I'm not saying everyone has the same thing, formula, but something that really worked for me was establishing a core,
A core network or
not a core network, a core system or yeah, it's a kind of a core system that allows you to, you know, I guess create some kind of consistency within your processes of reaching a specific goal.
okay.
So what I mean by that is like when you go to a 9 to 5, yes, it's not the best, it's not the funniest, it's not the funnest, sorry, but that core, experience really kind of grains, kind of like okay, this is a bucket where I'm putting in a shift to get X as reward. And you obviously start to understand a lot of operational things within maybe
in industry or
within an enterprise or institutional system that are very important if you're trying to take them into like a smaller startup or whatever it is. So I was able to learn off of someone else's dime, essentially.
Yes. Then so Omnicom, you stayed there for a few years, for 2 or
I was there
2
for 2 years, 2.5 years.
And then how did you start doing your own thing? How did you
Yeah, at that time I was playing around and I, kind of discovered the Bitcoin crypto world, which was very exciting.
very early on?
Very early on, from I guess from a technology standpoint, right? And I guess, look, I've been lucky enough over the years to have a lot of mentors, and I'm still, like I said, I'm still someone that loves to talk to people that are older than me, that have kind of gone through the grind, whether it's family, whether it's close friends, or whether it's randoms that I just reach out to have a coffee. But finding an industry that was still, not very well known in this space.
How early on was this? Was this like 2013, 14 or something? Or?
No, I'd say like I dabbled a little bit early in those days,
Yeah.
but not in terms of kind of jumping into the space.
Mm.
I'd say around 2017-ish,
Teen-ish. Okay.
16, 17
Yeah.
is where I really kind of got in, start understanding the technology side of things, try to help consult companies in terms of what it takes to implement blockchain into their business. A friend of mine and I, who was a very close friend of mine from San Francisco, decided to start up an advisory business.
On crypto.
Yeah,
On blockchain.
that's where we started. It was
Yeah.
like a crypto blockchain advisory where we were essentially helping businesses understand what the tech was and how to integrate it,
Okay.
and also kind of help investors navigate the space of startups that are out there within this space.
And
so
this was Capital 66.
yeah, no, that
No.
was called Gima Group,
Okay. Okay.
which is, you know, essentially evolved
It evolved
into
into.
a few things. It was, yeah, early days, and that was kind of our entry into a market, and that really raised a lot of eyebrows.
Well, you were very ahead of your time, really, weren't
Yeah.
you? Like that
Yeah.
was pretty forward visionary to set that up as two young guys back then,
Mm-hmm.
because so many, I suppose, big companies would have needed
Mm.
a service like that. So you were able to come in and explain what it was, and
Exactly. Yeah. I think more from an investor standpoint was really cool because kind of understanding the financial world a little bit, and have very good contacts from like capital or high net worths or people that are looking to invest in
Yeah.
sectors. No one had an idea what the space was and how to get into things like Bitcoin. What is
Yeah.
this? What is this? What is it? I don't get it. So we were really instrumental in kind of helping some investors figure out what, you know, businesses looked like that integrated, blockchain
Chain
in
into
some
their-
state, yeah, or how to invest in, you know, crypto.
And this was in the
Necessarily.
region, these companies
In
mostly.
the region, we did a lot in Southeast Asia, and the US as well.
And
So it
what
was-
about like family offices and things? Even anybody?
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was not just
Yeah.
businesses.
No, I guess from an investor side of things, it was family offices, high net worths. Yeah,
And how that's amazing. How long did that
Yeah.
did you guys do that for?
we went for it. I guess over time we started diversifying into different industries. Like it went well, and we started looking at ourselves as more alternative guys. That, hey, actually, we're bringing attention to spaces that are not very well known
Or understood.
or understood.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we entered the gaming space, and esports was popping off at the time. And so I think funny enough is we were really interested in the space. We traveled to Turkey for a Bitcoin or a crypto conference.
Okay.
Ended up meeting an amazing guy there who invited us over to his house. Side note, I'm a massive sports fan.
Sports. Okay.
Massive, big sports guy. So
Like all sports.
Football mostly. I won't say who I support.
Okay.
Because
Why?
I'm heartbroken these days. That's all I'm
Okay.
going to say. So we go to this guy's house who
Okay.
invites us over for dinner. And, we enter, and it's kind of like all merchandise in his house. So we're like,
Sports
what is this?
merchandise, yeah.
Just like caps, jerseys. And I was very intrigued. What is this? He said, I own an esports team. I said, what? He said, yeah, I own an esports team. They play League of Legends. And we're like, what does that even mean? So the next day he takes us to
An esports event.
to one of his esports events where you see two teams playing League of Legends against each other, and the fans kind of like buying merch
crazy.
and commercial. And Turkey is, look, I have to say something about Turkey. They're very ahead of their time when it comes to even crypto gaming. They're a very young nation that are super
Embrace
advanced. Yes,
kind of new
love it.
concepts and
Yeah.
technologies. Yeah.
So, yeah, we it was a big kind of like a snap for us, and we were like, look, this is going to be a very big thing, in terms of looking at esports as a future sport or as a future category within sports. Which, look at it today, it's an Olympic sport.
Yeah.
yeah, and so we ended up working with that team, which was called Royal Youth. They're a League of Legends team. We went to the Worlds that year. It was massive, and we just started kind of like picking at it, understanding what the industry was, while kind of doing our blockchain thing as well. And yeah, that was an
This was you
amazing
and your
entry.
co-founder.
Yeah, an amazing kind of entry point into the esports gaming space, and that kind of like really opened us up into kind of another vertical. Right.
Okay. And like as two young guys, advising high net worths and I guess, even established, corporates and things like that, what you must have faced some big challenges. Like what were they and how did you overcome them
So many,
for people to take you seriously? Like,
so many challenges, which is a good thing. Like again, you fail forward. Sorry, you fail forward. I think when you're in an emerging sector and you're trying to cross that within a very mature sector like a bank or
yeah,
or a family office or whatever it is, you really need to know what you're talking about. And these are industries that are not, they're just not structured like that.
no.
There are sometimes there's no answer to the question.
And plus they attract a lot of hinky or like
Bad
dodgy
actors.
people
Yes.
at the beginning,
Yes.
like because
Well, till today,
even till today,
Yeah.
yeah.
Bad actors are everywhere. We definitely did our best in terms of like bringing, just I'd say just bringing,
Like real expertise to the table, or like
yeah,
and authenticity.
authenticity
Yeah.
maybe, or what we could.
Yeah.
Like we did our thing, and it went quite well. We were able to like work with so many different companies. Some of them are still around today. Some of them failed, obviously, but it was to me like a startup factory, which is something that I wanted to do. Little bit hazy, obviously, because you don't know what you're doing at the time, right? Like again, my picture was there, hazy, but
But you had a picture.
I'm trying to like define it.
Yeah.
And it was again very foundational to where I am today, because that at that time you're again, we were just two guys in jumping into these sectors that are very unknown. We're trying to make a living out of it, and you go through a lot of ups and downs. Sometimes we're the you're the king of the world, where you're in an industry that everyone wants to get into. The next day you're
No one wants
what
to
am I
talk to you.
doing here?
Yeah.
No one wants to touch you.
Yeah.
So lots of ups and downs, lots of lessons, and over time, I guess what ends up happening is that the industries start to mature, and today, people look back and they're like, actually, Jay, the guys were talking about this in 2015, 16, 17. So you over time you start getting a bit more reputation, street
Credibility.
cred, yeah.
Yeah. So people trust
Yeah.
you, and you've built it. Well,
Eventually,
over,
it takes time,
like
right?
10
you
years.
pick at it, yeah.
But basically, like your key lesson is like that you stuck it out and that you
Oh yeah.
you didn't give up and you kept going even when you felt like probably giving up a lot of the time.
Listen, for me, or any entrepreneur is gonna go through so many hurdles, and most of it is psychological. The worst of it is psychological. And when you have like psychological bumps in the road, or mental bumps, that affects your energy, that
Yeah.
affects everything. So you'll get people, doubt, people don't trust you, people don't believe in you, and that effectively ends up affecting
Affecting you,
yourself,
yeah.
your own belief.
Yeah.
So to any entrepreneur out there, and to myself, I always, like, my subconscious, or I trained myself to just be like, I'm not gonna give up on this. I don't care.
What
Like,
anyone says.
failure is nothing. If I'm failing, I'm learning. So I just didn't care. I'll give you something. I've had a lot of advice. I've so much advice. All I do is get advice, by the way, from
Really?
everyone. Yes. Life is about advice. I mean, you know more than me about something. So you can teach me something. Everyone can teach you something.
That's the premise of this podcast,
Yeah.
by the way.
Everyone can teach you something.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing for me. That's why I find mentors in every space I can. Like maybe a lot of things stick, right? A lot of things that people tell you will stick. So I think one of them is a focused fool will accomplish more than what is it? A focused fool will accomplish more than a distracted genius. So for me, it was like kind of just
knuckle
focus,
down. Yeah.
just focus on it, and you'll get there. Pick at it, you'll
Be
get there.
consistent.
Yeah, yeah.
And is that the best advice you think you ever received?
No,
Like,
but it's
it's one of
like I
them.
said, things
Yeah.
stick. That one
That
definitely stuck because focus is pretty important to like narrow it down and really just have a tunnel line vision.
And to just keep chipping away at it, like you're saying, like
Enjoy the process.
consistency. Yeah.
Enjoy the process. Yeah, enjoy the process. It's like I was telling again, like a big mentor of mine or someone that I think about a lot is Kobe Bryant.
Really?
Yeah, massive. Like again, I'm a big sports guy, so not
Yes,
just Kobe,
yeah.
but Kobe mentality is
He's amazing. Like,
huge.
Yeah, I remember reading about this story about him that he was like, practicing. He just always practiced longer than everybody else. And one of his teammates was like, "Why are you still here at like 10 o'clock?" And he was just shooting hoops again and again and again. And he was just like, "Because I'm gonna practice the most. I'm gonna be the best. No matter what happens, I'm gonna be here. No one's gonna beat me at like preparing to be the best."
I think I know he enjoyed the practice.
Yes.
Right. And not necessarily is it fun.
No.
You enjoy the pain.
Yeah.
Of the process, because even if you have a goal in your in your sight, it's what you do daily that's going to get you there. So you got to really enjoy the process. It's like going to the gym, by the way.
It's like going to the gym, yeah.
So the
For
gym
your
isn't
brain.
fun.
Yeah, no one likes the gym.
No one likes the gym. I love I love the gym because I learned to love pain. And the pain of it is getting up, getting through the rain, and
Yeah.
Walking to the gym, all of it,
when
not
you
just
don't
starting.
feel like going at all.
But it's after, right?
Yeah.
And it's just being consistent with the daily thing. Even if you get to the goal, like the thing with people like Kobe Bryant they'll win a championship and be like, okay, cool, I'll celebrate today. But tomorrow I'm back again. Because it's not about it's not about hitting the milestone. It's about, just finding consistency and enjoying what's going to make you the best version or the sharpest version that you can be.
That's so true. That is so true. Yeah.
So I can't say I'm anywhere near Kobe Bryant's level, but
I get it.
I definitely incorporate these things into my life.
So now that you're, and I really want you to talk about how you founded Playsout, which we explained at the beginning in the intro is a platform that integrates mini games into super apps. So it's like quite new. The whole concept is still very new in this region and everything. So to explain a bit about it, but how has that ethos and all those learnings have they shaped what success means to you now? Like obviously when you're 25, it's totally different to when you're further along in your journey. But what does it mean to you now to be successful, or what do you count as being successful?
I wouldn't say I'm successful. I don't what does that even mean, right?
Well, what does that mean to you? What does it mean to be successful?
Sure. I'm successful because I'm content. I wouldn't say success to me is just being content with the moment, with the day, with your life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really care about the other thing. There's nothing. I just do things because everything that I do today is either a trigger on my passion or something that I want to improve in or excel or change the world in, or it's a challenge that I set for myself. But I think everyone has their own definition of what success is. So I guess where I am today is, if you look at the journey that I just took you through, it's just taking all of these lessons and diving into spaces which are unknown, which are kind of mystery, and continuing to educate myself, continuing to learn, continuing to have that tunnel vision in terms of, I'm not going to quit, and I'm going to continue to like learn and teach myself more. That that I got to where I am today, and today kind of still the same scenario. I'm still building things. I'm still finding little pockets or little gaps that are, I see. You'll find gaps in markets that you're like, okay, cool. That's something that I think we can
work
fill.
on or fill.
So
I mean,
I'd say
you've invested in lots of companies. You've also IPO'd a company on the London Stock
we did.
Exchange.
We ended up IPOing an esports company, which was really cool. Failed miserably, but that was a big part of the lesson. Like it was a dream of mine and my co-founders just to be in a part of an IPO. And if you asked me at 10 years ago, I would have said, or I would have said yes. But if you asked anyone else, they'd be like, what the hell are you talking about? You just got to throw yourself at it and it will come. And so even going through the process of an IPO and things like that and failing, and they just kind of that.
IPO, it did IPO.
It
So
did
the
IPO. I mean, but the share price tanked.
Yeah.
So it was during COVID, to be fair, and it is what it is. I take, sure, the day of an IPO is a major success, and there are successes in the process. Is it something that I feel is an overall success in my career? No, it's just a part of the process. It was just a gym session, if you want to call it that.
What's the most successful part of your career to date, do you think?
I don't think I've had a defined success, because I pocket each success as its own. It's kind of, again, I'll just take it back to like working out, right? It's just like that was a session, and now I move on to the next
Session.
So, some of them are just longer. So even if you tell somebody who's run 1 million marathons, which is the most successful, they're going to be like, it's just another marathon for me. So I have to train this much for it. I eventually go and run the race. If I place where I'm content, great. If I don't, also great. That means I have to train more. But there is I just don't place it like that. I just look for the next thing. Like what can I take from everything that's happened and put it into
the next thing to make it better.
Yeah. Of course, because I'm better. I'm a much more, experienced. So you're now just like a race, right? You ran the last one. You now know where you messed up before.
Yeah.
And you now know how you can place better or do better. I guess with Playsout was essentially another very good partner of mine who I've known for years, comes from the Tencent space. And we've been very well connected because I kind of gave him a big insight into the tech world from a Western perspective. What's going on in the US, what's going on in the UK, Europe, and the Middle East. Because that's my area of expertise. Whereas he comes from big, Asia, China, Tencent, and the overall tech scene there. So especially within Web3, which is where we connected, we kind of got together within the crypto space and the Web3 space.
Not to divert, but just simply, what's your definition of Web3? I mean, it's a bit of a controversial one, isn't it? Sometimes people get what exactly is it?
So
according to you, I mean, I know.
Yeah, I mean, look, Web3 is so when you look at, I guess, Web3 is basically where you're able to kind of connect through, when you look at like the blockchain, or connect through a wallet system, through signatures, basically. Yeah. I would call Web 2 where today you go and sign into something through your Google account, your Facebook account, just like when you go to any app, right? So when I go to an app and it says sign in, I have Google, Facebook, whatever it is, right? Email, I'm logging in, and all that information is not in my hands. That data is given to a third party. Okay, that's Web 2. Web 3 is where I'm now signing in through my own user login, which is a decentralized, completely different experience.
Okay.
And now my data is in my hands. It's also not available to anyone else. I still say that Web3 is like just anything that integrates high tech like AI, blockchain, is getting into Web3.
Is getting into
We
Web3.
are not, there yet. We're still living in a very Web2 world.
Yes.
Well, you'll see the industry or the market for Web3 is tiny compared to where we still are. It's growing, right?
Growing.
You see people logging in with wallets now.
Yeah.
You see people interacting with a kind of a more anonymous
sovereign.
Yes. Good way. That's
Yeah.
a good way to put it.
Gotcha. So you brought your co-founder and the two of you got together.
Yeah. So me and my co-founder have also been doing a few things on the side. Like we know each other for quite a long time. And have also jumped into a few ventures together. And so, there's a lot of trust there. He's from Tencent Games. Playsout is essentially our take on WeChat mini games. We saw that the mini game environment in China is just booming. It's a $4 billion market. There are over 400 different development houses developing only games that are short form, hyper casual, short form content for WeChat alone. We see TikTok just killing the game. TikTok has already integrated mini games. YouTube has started to integrate mini games. When you look at kids today, they're only just scrolling short form everything. So what we started thinking is, well, look, number one is the tech infrastructure, by the way. Let me highlight this. That WeChat has in terms of serving games or the game environment within WeChat is the highest game environment or the best game environment because it's the best experience. It's just miles ahead of everyone else. Not to say that no one's going to catch up, but it's miles ahead. So what we're doing now and what we've thought of is, listen, let's create a container tech that essentially allows us to, or an infra that allows us to pull the games as they are from WeChat, same code, not HM5, but the same code, and localize these games into English, Arabic, French, whatever, because hyper casual games are mostly text based, right? You don't see many, it's not heavy in terms of like AAA where people are speaking.
No,
there's not much language.
Like really advanced.
It's very just, it's like chess, play, store.
Yeah.
So we localize the language, or can also do some other customizations if we want, and essentially plug these games into high traffic environments. So when you look at today, right, like I look at, places like Telegram, I look at telcos, I look at Uber, I look at Careem, I look at Deliveroo. These are all applications that have high traffic. However, unlike WeChat, the high traffic that comes into the app is only there for
one thing,
its service.
like,
yeah. I want to order
Uber.
my food. I'm going to tap the 1, 2, 3, buy. So what WeChat did really good, and obviously that's for different reasons we won't get into, but they have allowed the user experience, forget everything else, the user experience to be so seamless for me to pick up a call, game, deliver, order,
book my
holiday, pay, do the whole shebang in one app. Now, I'm not saying everyone's going to go that way, but I'm saying what most of these apps want is they want to, number one, keep their users in the app. Number two, monetize, right? It's not only through delivery fee or whatever fee that you can monetize your users. So what we're doing essentially is providing the same strategy that WeChat does with mini games to all of these super apps that are trying to move in that direction anyway. I'm only providing you with the games.
So you're providing the games.
We're providing the games.
Very.
They are not. So I call it like redistribution in many ways, because we're taking the same games from WeChat. Number one, they're already proven to be successful because they already exist in a market.
Yeah.
So the games are fun inherently. Our solution is a Web 2 plus Web 3. Within Web 2, just interestingly enough, and what I mean by Web 2 just means traditional apps.
Yes, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So like let's say you have a Careem, or let's say you have a Deliveroo, and I just ordered some food and I have 25 minutes waiting time.
Yeah.
And then I have a way to, for example, discount my delivery fee, or waive my fee, or get free
6
whatever.
dirhams off or whatever it is.
And that's through a game while I'm waiting. And I just sit there and I play Tetris for the next 25 minutes, da 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 da. And because I've stayed on the app, obviously I've given the app its data, that it needs to understand me more, what time I'm ordering, what I'm ordering, blah, blah. And I've been served some ads as well that I've been able to offset the cost with a free delivery.
That's so cool.
Win-win for the app.
Win-win for the app, yeah.
Web3 is obviously, most of these games, by the way, will eventually become Web3 because I believe reward systems you should be rewarded for your time and your rewards.
And your attention.
I can go into the reason why games will move into tokenization or into blockchain, like digital asset space, for days. So don't let me get into that.
No, because we're running out of time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I won't get into that. But within Web3, it's places like Telegram, Line. These are massive Web3 environments that already have tools that are ready for any user to, essentially connect to wallet, connect to a DeFi system, connect to a million things. Except the issue that we have is most of the people that go on Telegram they don't know how to activate these tools. And it's through games that
they can. It's like a portal.
That's your user experience is now connecting to other areas, just like in any game.
Yeah.
Gamification is so key to like the psyche of unlocking things like DeFi, because it's a part of the gamer's journey. It's not like, hey, come and transact or do a financial. No, it's just part of my game that I'm putting a loan on my character.
I get it. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, but it's so nascent here, especially, right? Like, so
it's early days.
It's early days, yeah, but it has so much potential.
It has so much potential. It's that number that I told you, 4 billion, is going to be 10 bill this year. That's how fast short form content is growing. And that's how fast we also like to be incentivized.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for you and I, like, we lived in a time where we weren't incentivized for anything we did.
No.
Like, we were just like, I'm going to give you my data, I'm going to give you everything, and I'm not going to the world's not going to be like that anymore. You're now going to give your data, you're going to give your attention, you're going to give everything for something in return.
I want to ask you just 2 quick questions.
I feel like we just started 5 minutes.
No, we literally are. We've talked for an hour, so we're like, I'm so annoyed now because I wanted to ask you some more questions. But look, I would love to know what you're most proud of.
Myself.
That's good. That's such a Snoop Dogg answer. I want to thank me for being so awesome.
I want to thank me for me.
Yeah.
I do want to thank me for me. Real.
That's great.
At the end of the day, it's you versus you.
Yeah.
It's you versus you. It's your emotions versus you. It's your mental state versus you.
Yeah.
So just being able to overcome the day, the hour, staying positive, and continuing to manifest positiveness is not easy. It is very difficult.
That is super.
People underestimate like manifestation and being positive, and go and like line vision, all of this is not easy.
No.
Going to the Kobe Bryant mentality and like enjoying the hard work and enjoying the pain is not easy.
Embracing.
It's not like you never look at kind of like, I'm super happy that I did this, or I'm most accomplished. No, it's the little things that I'm most proud of.
Do you have any regrets?
No.
No regrets.
Absolutely not.
Apart from Kobe Bryant, you mentioned Naval Ravikant in some interviews. Is there anybody or any book or movie that you feel really impacted your life that stands out the most?
I would say the loaded question. Read as much as possible. I read so many different things, like from economics to business to like self-help, if you want, to manifestation, metaphysics, all of that. I love reading.
Like Joe Dispenza.
The more you read, the more you read, the
better.
The better. But like someone like a Naval, he has an amazing book out called The Almanac of Naval Ravikant.
He's so cool. Yeah.
I think everyone, like, I definitely have people that I look at as, again, the world is so funny because you just have to look at people that you admire and just replicate You don't have to reinvent
No.
anything here. Just do what they're doing. Emulate. And so, Naval for me is just somebody I look up to him because he's exactly what I want to do in the business world. He's done amazingly well, but also his alignment and understanding of the, psychology, spirituality, and the meaning of life, and why all of that is interconnected, means everything to me. Because again, like he's of the school of thought, which is of I am, is if you're doing something that you don't enjoy, why are you doing it?
Yeah.
Why are you doing it? So it's all one circle.
And distinguishing, between that and enjoying the pain, the challenges and the pain, because sometimes the things you want to do can be extremely difficult, but knowing that this is still what I want to do, like.
If you're sure that the result is worth the squeeze, or the juice is worth the squeeze.
The juice is worth the squeeze, yeah.
Then you're gonna continue sweating or enjoying the pain because you know. But if, like a lot of people, when you go to 9 to 5, or people that hate their jobs, for example, people that hate their jobs and have to do this every day.
That's so hard.
You're hating the pain, and there's nothing you want at the end of it. So what are you doing? And that's something like I would rather don't quit your job or become homeless or anything, but like figure your way out of that as fast as possible, and don't numb yourself to it, to
just accept it.
Accept and just live and wake up 40 years later.
Going, what did I do?
Yeah. It's not supposed to be easy.
No.
And sure, you're going to be in situations that are, uncomfortable, which is a good thing. Always look at uncomfort as a very good thing. I love to be uncomfortable. So take it as an advantage. I'm uncomfortable, and figure out, what are you going to get out of the uncomfort? Mm-hmm. Is it a lesson? Great. Get the lesson and move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
It's always going to be a lesson.
Jay, thank you so much for your words of wisdom and just like insights into what you've learned thus far in your journey. And I want to wish you the best of luck with Playsout. I know it's super exciting technology, and there's so much happening in that space. So thank you for taking the time to be here today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Shiv. No, I really appreciate you having me.
Thanks.
This was an awesome chat. When's part 2?
Yeah, part 2 has to come, because I feel like we just started, to be honest.
Likewise.
Yeah. But thank you. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to learn some stuff from this. So hopefully,
I hope so.
Yeah.
Short form.
Yeah, I'm going to break it up.
We'll clip him down.
I'm going to clip it down. Okay, thank you.